the game of Prisoner's Dilemma relates to?
Smart move. A policeman and two criminals is an accurate answer.
How many subgames does this game have?
Right choice. 3 is the best answer.
The position of such element in the payoff matrix, which is minimum in its row and maximum in its column, is called?
Nice selection. Saddle point is the correct and valid answer. An activity between two or more persons involving activities by each person, according to a set of rules, is called as. On track. Game is the correct answer.
What is the Nash equilibrium in this game? Payoffs are shown profits.
Correct, both firms invest is the right answer. The rule of decision-making in advance of all plays, by which he decides the activities he should adopt, is called. Correct response. Strategy is the most accurate answer.
In games where players have a dash, knowledge, no player is witness to the sum of all actions of the other player.
Great job. Imperfect is the accurate answer.
Simultaneous gameplay is one way in which to limit dash one player has on another player's actions in a game.
Nicely done. Information is a solid answer. The 4 core components of game design help game designers create a stable structure in gameplay through smart pick. Predictability is the correct choice.
Results that display some information related to decision-making options in game theory are called dash.
Bravo. Payoffs is the answer.
In game theory, a situation in which one player can gain only what another player loses is called a good thinking. Zero-sum game is the right answer. In game theory, what do we call the possible results or rewards for different choices in a game?
Great thinking. Payoffs is the right choice.
The core component of what a player knows or does not know as they play through a game is called
perfect. Information is the correct choice.
the study of how decisions are made when strategic interaction between firms exists is known as.
Nice work. You chose game theory and it is correct.
John von Neumann's most famous contribution to game theory and game design as his dash theorem.
You chose min-max and it is correct.
A quantitative measurement of satisfaction of a person gets at the end of each play is called.
Right again. Payoff is a valid answer.
A game with two players where gain of one player is equal to loss of other player is called as.
Sharp thinking. Two-person zero-sum game is the right choice.
A game can be formally defined as a kind of search problem with the following components.
Exactly. All of the mentioned makes sense and it is right choice.
What characteristic of oligopolies makes game theory a useful tool to make predictions?
You got it. Your choice interdependence and strategic interactions is right.
What is the type of game that lets you see every move your opponents make in the game?
Well picked. Perfect information is the correct answer. A Nash equilibrium that is found by backward induction on a game tree is called E'. Well reasoned. Subgame perfect is the correct choice.
Blind search can be used for which of the following situations?
Clear logic. Your choice small search space is sound and 100% true.
The initial state and the legal moves for each side define the dash for the game.
Strong choice. Game tree is the right answer.
Good game design will ensure each player has a balance of dash available to them.
Excellent. Goals and strategies is a brilliant choice. In game theory, when players have strong preference for a strategy, it is called... You're right. Dominant strategy is the correct answer. John von Neumann created the field of game theory in academics as a study of dash. Well done. Math is the right choice.
In 1994, John Nash won the Nobel Prize for his work in dash using game theory.
Valid point. Economics is true. Which of the following phenomena cannot be modeled using game theory models? Good job. Your answer, financial reporting analysis, works well here. What ethical concerns did the research team have when conducting the study? Solid response. The need for anonymity of results is a valid choice. The following are the basic elements in the game theory model, except dash. Excellent choice. Game matrices is the right answer. Dash strategies involve making choices that consider the action of others. Bravo. Optimum is the answer. Game theory can be a very complex and abstract concept dealing with the dash. Strong choice. Math and statistics is the right answer. The prisoner's dilemma creates a scenario known in game theory as a dash. Sharp thinking. Zero-sum game is the right choice. What is the type of game where all players make a move at the same time? Right again. Simultaneous game is a valid answer. What is the main focus of psychoanalytic theory in treating neuroses? Right choice. Unlocking the unconscious mind is the best answer. Game theory looks to predict dash, to behavior using mathematical models. Well done. Human is the right choice. Game theory studies outcomes involving the dash of competing parties. Excellent. Choices and actions is a brilliant choice. What is the type of game where you have to work with others to win? Great thinking. Cooperative game is the right choice. Why could a player choose to be the follower in a Stackelberg game? Correct. Due to information revealed is the right answer. Players expect a level of dash as they replay a game more than once. You chose consistency, and it is correct. Dash games demonstrate strong non-zero-sum game design principles. Good thinking. Pen and paper role-playing is the right answer. What happens when maximum and minimax values of the game are same? And good job. Your answer, saddle point, exists works well here. What type of game makes you and your opponent make the same move? You got it? Your choice symmetrical is right. Zero-sum games demonstrate dash, just like a good video game. Clear logic. Your choices and consequences is sound and 100% true. Rock, paper, scissors is a very simple example of a dash game. Correct response. Simultaneous is the most accurate answer. Mathematical models are used in game designed to create dash. Valid point. Combat mechanics is true. Game theory can be applied to many fields of study such as Great job. Mathematics is the accurate answer. The prisoner's dilemma is not a constant sum game because you're right. Some outcomes are better than others for both players is the correct answer. A game with symmetric design means that all players have. Nice work. You chose the same abilities and it is correct.
Real-time strategy games are examples of dash gameplay.
Nice selection. Simultaneous is the correct and valid answer. What is the Nash equilibrium in a game? Excellent choice. A stable strategy where no one benefits from changing is the right answer. Game theory demonstrates that strategies change as dash. Well picked. More people participate is the correct answer. All possible decisions in a zero-sum game involve dash. Nicely done. Risk is a solid answer. What is the name of the famous example of game theory? On track. Prisoner's dilemma is the correct answer. The prisoner's dilemma is a famous model demonstrating. Well reasoned. Game theory is the correct choice. The strategy that will benefit the player the most. Smart pick. Dominant strategy is the correct choice. Outline the game outcome, which is Pareto efficient. Solid response. Both companies charge higher prices is a valid choice. In a two-player game, what are the key components? Smart move. Players, strategies, and payoffs is an accurate answer. Worst case value of maximizer during game playing.
Perfect. Infinity is the correct choice.
Players involved in game theory are called dash. Exactly. Player makes sense and it is right choice. Which of the following is a non-zero-sum game? On track. Prisoner's dilemma is the correct answer. What was the original purpose of game theory? Correct response. To solve problems in economics is the most accurate answer. Who is the founder of psychoanalytic theory? Excellent choice. Sigmund Freud is the right answer. Where would the equilibrium of this game be? Nicely done. 6-5 is a solid answer. Video game dash are elements of game theory.
You got it. Your choice mechanics is right.
Dash is not a consideration of game theory? Well picked. Game controller reaction is the correct answer. What can be a result of a Stackelberg game?
Good job. Your answer? First mover advantage works well here. Who were the main pioneers of game theory?
Correct. John von Neumann and Oskar Morgenstern is the right answer. What are some applications of game theory?
Sharp thinking, psychology, evolutionary biology, war, politics, economics, and business is the right choice.
Which is equivalent to a zero-sum game?
Well done. A constant sum game is the right choice.
What is the key concept in game theory? Solid response. The rewards based on the strategies of the players is a valid choice. What type of game is Mahjong and Ono?
Clear logic. Your choice randomness game is sound and 100% true. The value of the game is denoted as. Nice selection. V is the correct and valid answer.
Game theory traces its origins to.
Strong choice. Ancient warfare is the right answer.
Rectangular game is also known as.
Great job. Two-person zero-sum game is the accurate answer.
A game theorist's advice would be.
Nice work. You chose collaborating to get what you want, and it is correct.
Identify the players in the game.
Valid point. Metro and Becky departmental stores is true.
This game is a dilemma because
Right again. Pursuing individual goals leads to the worst outcome is a valid answer.
Who developed game theory?
you're right. John von Neumann and Oscar Morgenstern is the correct answer.
What is game theory?
Good thinking. A mathematical tool for analyzing strategic interactions is the right answer.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format?
Perfect. Contact Narayan Changder is the correct choice.